pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So welcome everyone, welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Brunswick, our regular meeting held in May. And we'll begin by reviewing the draft minutes of our previous meeting, which was held on April 17th, 2023. I make a motion to approve the draft minutes with a member second. Thank you, Daryl. All in favor? Aye. Approved without amendments. And we'll review the agenda as it's posted on the town website. First application is Mesnick 5 Easy Street with area variances, followed by Josensky 666 Huzik Road, sign variances. And then our last old business would be Rashid 793 Pauling Ave. After that, we have two new business applications. The first one is for 168 McChesney Ave. And then the second is 12 Pickering Lane. So our first item of business on the agenda is to open a public hearing on the application of 5 Easy Street. I'll ask the applicant to come up and just kind of review the project and tell the zoning board if there have been any changes to your application since your last year in April.
There have not been any changes. We are trying to install a pool, a large oval pool, in an area where it is quiet, away from other family members and their living activity. In short, we have a multi-generational household, ranging from ages 81 until 6 3/4. And so where we want to locate the pool enables it to be quiet there, and we need to basically have a mental health output. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So you can kindly take a seat and we'll, thank you. So we're going to open a public hearing, noting that the notice was published in the Eastwood Press, which is the official municipal paper of the town of Brunswick, was placed on a town signboard, posted on the town website, and mailed to all owners of adjacent property within 300 feet. Mr. Gilchrist, if you can kindly read that notice of public hearing for us.
Yes. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Brunswick at 6 p.m. on Monday, May 15, 2023, at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Brunswick, New York, 12180, concerning the application submitted by Lisa Messick for an area variance for property located at 5 Easy Street. The applicant seeks 3 lot line setback variances in connection with the installation of the pool. Copies of the application are available at the Brunswick Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing.
So if anyone from the public would like to speak, you're welcome to do so. And Chuck, has the building department received any written comments on this
We have
application?
received no written or email comments.
Thanks. Are there any questions from the zoning board members? I just have a few questions. I can review them if you want to come on. So you said that you're unable to locate the above-ground pool in any other spot because on the right-hand side of the house, you have a septic leach field?
Correct.
Yeah, all right. And then in the, around the pool, you're going to put a like 8-foot privacy fence? Is that what you're
Correct, on
thinking?
Downey Road,
Right.
and actually on Easy Street too. But right now, the priority, from what I understand, has to be on Downey Road.
The reason being that the pool is going to be set inside of that hill a little bit, and
Right.
we're not, we have to maintain a 4-foot border. Right. So if that is, cut into and you don't have 4 foot of pool wall left, then the fence has to go around it.
Okay.
And it has to go to a point where there is a 4-foot height.
And just because the renderings were hand-drawn, just to clarify, the above-ground pool is not in front of the primary structure.
No.
Yeah, thank you. And so hearing no public comment, I make a motion to close the public hearing portion of this application. Would a member second?
I'll second.
Thanks, John. All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. The zoning board members are prepared to deliberate and act on the application. Note that this is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Noting that's residential application, no or minor environmental impact is noted. The zoning board members will review the elements for consideration on the area variance application. We'll note that the Rensselaer County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning has acted and has determined that the proposal does not have a major impact on the county and that local consideration shall prevail. The zoning board is asked to explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character in the neighborhood, nor a detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variances.
Well, there are other pools in the area, there are other accessory structures, so this is not going to be anything that's not already in the neighborhood.
And we're asked to explain why the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variances. I think it's that the applicant stated due to the location of the septic system and the topography of the land, there's no alternative location to place the above-ground pool. Then we're asked to describe whether the requested area variance is substantial. I'm going to say no, it's not substantial. This application is a corner lot, R15 zoning district. Then we're asked to explain how the proposed area variances will not have adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Again, I'm conveying potential impact for such factors as traffic, drainage, dust, noise, odor from the proposal of the above-ground pool. And then lastly, we're asked to explain whether the difficulty is self-created.
It is self-created in that there is no other spot, there's no other location on the property that the pool could be constructed.
Yeah, and we'll note that while that consideration is relevant, it shall not necessarily include the granting of area variances. So without any further deliberation, we'll consider the balance between the benefit to the applicant is weighed against any detriment to the community at large or the neighborhood in particular to determine to grant the area variances.
I make a motion that we grant the 2 front setback variances and the rear setback.
Remember a second.
I'll second.
Carol, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
So all total 3 area variances have been granted.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. And going forward, just continue to work with the building department.
I will. Thank you everyone for your time.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Excuse me, Chair, I have a question. Will I be notified in writing?
Yes, I believe, check and answer, but you can pick that up at the building department's office.
Okay, I'd like to know.
The minutes of the meeting are going to be what your approvals are.
Okay,
But what we will do next is review the building permit application and get that going.
all right, thank you.
All right, our second public hearing tonight, 666 Hoosick Road. This is for Aroma Joe's, the zoning district B15, requesting 3 variances, sign variances. And that would be for 2 additional signs and also for the location of one of the signs to not be on the front of the building. So I ask the applicant to come on up, kind of review the project with us and if there have been any changes since we last met in April.
Sorry I'm late, a couple of minutes. Hoosick is brutal. The Northway is, got an accident, the Thruway has an accident, and 890, so we did our best.
Glad you're here.
There are no significant changes, so what we initially proposed. We were granted a temporary sign permit, so we were able to put up a temporary sign, and we were able to open our gate.
How did that go?
Everything's been going great, so well received.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you very much. So like the previous application, we'll have a public hearing on that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. So the zoning board will open the public hearing on this application, noting that the notice was published in the Eastwood Press, placed on the town sign board, published on the town website, and mailed to all owners of adjacent property within 300 feet.
Okay, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given. The public hearing will be held by the zoning board of appeals of the town of Brunswick at 6:15 PM on Monday, May 15, 2023, at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Brunswick, New York, 12180, concerning the application submitted by Lawrence Josensi Jr. for 2 sign variances in connection with the Aroma Joe's Coffee Shop on property located at 666 Hoosick Road. The application requests 2 sign variances, the first for a menu board and the second for the Aroma Joe's logo. Copies of the application are available at the Brunswick Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing.
Thank you very much. So if there's anyone from the public who'd like to speak, you're welcome to come up to the podium to do that. Are there any questions from any of the zoning board members?
No questions.
Just a real quick question. I saw in the minutes, the hours of operation, 5 AM to 9 PM. Is that correct? I had that as a question mark. I wasn't
Yes.
sure. Okay, thank you. 5 AM to 9 PM.
Monday through
Or 7 days a week.
So 7 days a week?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
I just thought of this. Is the menu board going to be the proposed the same as what the existing temporary one is?
Yes, we did.
Similar in size?
Just move it right over and mount it on the wall.
Hearing no public comment, I make a motion to close the public hearing portion of this application with member second. Second. Thank you, Patricia. All in favor? The public hearing is closed. The zoning board members are prepared to deliberate and act on this application. Note that this is a non-residential action under seeker. So I would make a motion for a negative declaration on the project. Remember, second, thanks, Patricia. All in favor?
Aye.
So carries for a negative declaration under seeker. And we'll note that the Rensselaer County Bureau of Economic Development and Planning has determined that the proposal does not have a major impact on county plans and that local consideration shall prevail. So we'll review our elements for consideration. Ask to explain how no undesirable change will be produced in the character of a neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by granting the area variances.
Two other drive-through restaurants right there. It's in the area, so it's right in line with what they have at both their locations.
And then we're asked to explain why the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than requested area variances.
Well, the property space is fairly limited, so the only feasible location for the sign is to mount it on the building where they want.
We're asked to describe whether the requested area variances are substantial, noting that they're proposing two signs where the zoning board of appeals asks for two, total of four, two over what is required. And that one of the signs will be on the side of the building where the zoning board, the zoning law requests that the signs are in front of the building. So given all that, I would say, this proposal is not substantial. And we're asked to explain how the proposed area variance will not have adverse effects on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
Just putting up signs, they're not doing any major construction of it, so they have no effect.
Then we're asked to explain whether the difficulty is self-created.
Oh, it's self-created because they want it, but it's, on the overall impact is, there's really no overall impact project or surrounding properties.
You got a drive-through, you need a menu board, right?
We spoke about earlier the hours of operation being between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. And historically, the zoning board, when it comes to signs, has asked for illuminated signs to be off when the business is not in operation. Is that a consideration that you would consider in this?
Yes.
Any discussion on that? You're all in favor of that? So when we consider the balance between the benefit to the applicant is weighed against any detriment to the neighborhood at large, or the district at large, and the neighborhood in particular, and noting the condition of only having the signs illuminated during the hours of operation, would someone like to make a motion to approve the requested variances?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Darrell, would member second? Second, thanks, Patricia. All in favor?
Aye.
So your sign variances have been granted. Just kind of continue working with the building department going forward.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much. Best to you. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, take your time.
Yes, it was getting very warm. I think it changed.
I turned it down when I came in. When I was setting up, it was very warm.
Yeah,
Bill has a program that monitors the building, and I would be able to go over and take a look and see what the output temperature is of the air conditioning unit and see if the problem is there or what it was. It was, the thermostat was mid-range, so.
All right. So next on our agenda, we have 793 Pauling Inn. And while this is not a public hearing, it's on our agenda for a discussion. And at our last meeting in April, you were to look into and to review the issue of building on a substandard lot. And I see that the building department has provided members with a page from the town of Brunswick zoning law, particularly Article 13, discussing non-conforming building lots and uses. So this could come to our attention as perhaps falling under this particular issue.
Section D.
Section D.
Which D is for lots.
So the applicant is proposing a 1,000 square foot single-story building or a 2-story, 710 square foot building on this particular undersized lot.
Yes.
So is it in the zoning board of appeals jurisdiction to consider this issue?
It's probably a building department decision, isn't it? Yeah.
So the first determination of that issue is with the building department.
And as Ann and I spoke about this, I just, bounced this off of her and said, do you feel the same way? And we seem to feel that the only non-conforming part of this lot is just physical size, of being 9,583 square feet rather than 15,000 square feet. But the proposed building fits inside the envelope and meets all the setbacks. So I would say that the development of the non-conforming lot is, if it pursues by the owner or by another person, it would be done at the site plan through a site plan approval with the planning board.
So how do we then guide our applicant? Where would be the next step that
Our applicant, who is the realtor, has the ability to post that property for sale, and whoever buys it has to be, assured that it has, restrictions, we'll say, in size, and the new owner will have to come to the planning board to put a building on there.
I would sell it contingent to the planning board's decision. Right?
or would they buy it contingent on what the planning board
We have to
determines?
come here, because what if it is another auto, what if somebody just wants to use car lot? Really big spot for it, it depends on what it's gonna be.
Right.
If it is gonna be a commercial car lot, or if it is gonna be ice cream, then you guys need to know lighting, parking, da.
Right, so not this board in particular, but the building department.
And that will be all part of the site plan review with the planning board.
And you're the site plan review?
This would be the planning board. This would be another group of individuals like this.
Do any of you sit on that board?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, I can do it.
Yeah, okay, so do you understand what you need to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
The issue is if the law was written such that we reviewed this and went to a public hearing, it would be a public hearing for a vanilla building. And how, in that you do not know what the building is going to be used for. Therefore, in the case of if it's a restaurant, I don't know what the parking is, because you don't know how many seats are going to be there. But there's many different variables where you have to decide or know what the business is going to be prior to having a public hearing.
Yeah, it seems like would be for the building board, for the planning board.
Yes. I mean, have this,
Right.
right?
All the uses, right, is that what you have?
But then there's parking requirements for certain, right, uses, so that has to be taken into
Just the
consideration.
drive-through would be, because of the traffic there, I mean, it's a high annual, there's a lot, I think 11,000 on an annual average a day in 2016, so there's,
High visibility.
but a lot of cars going through, so you don't want traffic backing up anymore.
Right.
Than it already is, so, yeah, all that would be taken into consideration, right?
Right, so let's just confirm. There's no application in front of this zoning board. Any proposed use of the lot will need to be coordinated with the building department, because each proposed use may have its own specific zoning law requirements, whether it be parking, circulation, that'll get reviewed by the building department. The use of the lot, that's Chuck.
Chuck, that's it.
Any use of that would require site plan review
Yes.
because it's an existing substandard lot. The actual use needs to be known because that needs to be shown on the site plan in terms of whatever requirements are applicable for that use. So there's a fair amount of work to be done directly with the building department before any prospective purchaser gets in front of the planning board. That's a separate board from the zoning board, meets on different nights, different members with different jurisdiction. But the building department will be your first point of contact for any prospective purchaser.
Yes. I understand.
Fair enough.
Good?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right, good luck to
Thanks
you.
for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for yours. So for new business, we're going to begin at 168 with Chesley Ave Extension. The applicant would like to come on up. Let's kind of review your well put together application here.
Make a slight correction, it's McChesney Avenue, Allen, so,
Oh, I'm pardon me.
okay.
Just the application form. Both of them actually.
This would be for this and Pickering? Yeah. I will get those for you. Oh. I know right where they are, I just didn't bring them in.
I'll grab
We'll wait for you.
There's been no public comment, I'm sorry, this gentleman's just coming up.
That's for 45 years, I did do some bills
Okay,
as a contractor, so
it's beautifully put together.
I thought when I retired, that was the end.
Would you like them back when we're done with them?
File them, burn them, whatever.
Put to good use. Where did you work as a contractor?
I owned and operated Taylor Sound Incorporated. We did this stuff.
Okay,
Business. Anyway,
You weren't persistent enough.
I've lived in Brunswick for 51 years. I can't figure out how this one got by. I did give a business card when I was at the community center for a gentleman who opened and closed the community center for us, and parties, and we have parties all the time with all the family we have. And, yeah, I gave him a business card and said, shame on you doing business with the guy. Sticker was on that sound system. I said, oh, never heard of it. But that's
where was the last job that you were working on?
It was a company called Rocco Specialized Systems, not the Ronco Field Rocco. Actually, this Rocco is based in Buffalo, and they were way before Ronco Field. And they were big in Nortel telephone systems and expanded that into sound communications, various other types of communications, hospital communications. And they still, have a pretty large following and have expanded. They're all the way down to Florida. They just bought a company in Pennsylvania, and apparently doing well.
Yeah, great.
And they opened up, when I was there, they opened up an office in the Cayman Islands, and they were looking for volunteers, so of course, I'll go. Get the job. Yeah, that was after I sold, well, I just closed my business and then went to work with these people. They did exactly the same thing I did, but I was just little old me working out of Troy, and they were huge.
Right. Very interesting.
It was quite an experience. But I brought a lot to the table. I brought a lot of my clientele base.
Oh, great.
It worked out very well.
So while we're waiting for Chuck, caught up, if you just kind of want to introduce yourself and give a little overview of your project.
Yeah, Paul McEwen, and as you mentioned, 168 McChesney Avenue, and after, when we bought the house in 78, it actually came with a one-car garage built in. And 8 years later, when my wife and I figured out how to make babies, when the family expanded, we decided we better make that into a family room so we have more space in the house. So now that I'm 72 and retired and she's 70, we thought it'd be nice to have a two-car garage. The winters are getting to us, we're getting older, it's just getting tough. We can get somebody down the street to plow the snow, but it's hard, and we have to go out, especially my wife, who suffers from lupus. It's very difficult for her, painful, just to wipe the window off. Have to warm up the car and everything, so it's something she's been wanting to do, so.
So you're requesting two variances. One is the right side, where 25 is required, you're proposing 12.7, and in the front, where 75 is required, you're proposing 20. That sounds good, yeah. Is there another location possibly for the garage on your lot?
The only place that there's any more land would be moving it back. Unfortunately, And if you all come and visit, you would see the terrain. I'll show you from the side view. It slopes slightly, and as soon as that 24-foot mark, it starts to drop off erratically. And the contractor who was there, who I hired at least, until to do the work, said he would have to build a gigantic wall or a, what do you call it,
Retaining wall?
a thing. And if I went out further, a little bit beyond that is my septic tank and my leach fields. So it's really the only place I can put it. And I don't want to walk, if I'm gonna have a garage way down the back, it's not worth it to me.
And you mentioned seeing the site. Do you give permission for the zoning board members to come to your home and see the site?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I have a very coffee maker. Knock on the door, and I'll
that's
buy
good.
your coffee.
So your application appears complete for the purposes of holding a public hearing, which we will do in June. I don't have that date off the top of my head. I think it's 15.
I get it. No, it's not my calendar.
June 19th?
19th. The 19th. And well, it's a federal holiday, isn't it?
It's June 19th.
I'm not
It's
sure.
Juneteenth that
That's
day.
Juneteenth.
It's
June-
Juneteenth.
Yeah, we
that
did not
day.
honor that last year.
Right, we were
although
open.
The township is
So,
open.
yeah, I think we.
To conduct business. So we'll be here on June 19th, and we'll put you down for 6 o'clock for a public hearing. It'll be similar to what you saw the other path. And if you have any questions in the meantime, kindly direct it to Chuck, and he'll get it to us, or if we can get to him.
Yeah. I've been paying for shot, I'm not gonna bother you. Okay.
You're allowed.
All right,
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
thank you very much.
See you next month. Okay, next we have 12 Pickering Lane. All right, come on up, please, introduce yourself, this little synopsis of what you're proposing.
Hi, my name is Peter Crandall, I live at 12 Pickering Lane, and I would like to put a deck on my house. And I would like to, on the side, possibly make 4-foot wide so that I can, in the future, extend it so that I can have a deck in the back without having to go up and down stairs.
So you're proposing the 12 by 20 deck now, and that will be expanded onto, or
No,
in your
it was,
vision, this?
16 by 20.
A 16 by 20.
Okay, 16 by 20, okay. I'm sorry, the paper I have says 12 by 20, but that's okay. 16, okay.
Is that the cheat sheet?
Just come out of my
Yeah,
house, and
it
then
is.
it has like 4 steps to go down. And then there's maybe 40 feet, and then it goes up and over the driveway.
That's the cheat sheet.
What I would like possibly is to just come out the door, no stairs, and then if I get the variance, to put the 4-foot line alongside the house, next to my neighbor's fence, that I could in the future go in the back where I have more privacy and put a deck back there.
Okay. Right, and on this drawing, I think this is an important bunch of information, and it would be in the bottom right-hand corner. So you're showing us that it's you're already in the setback, so you're already in the
12 foot.
12 foot, right,
Yes.
where required is
15.
15, yeah. Okay. And that's the variance.
Yes.
Right. Right, so it's required 15, you're already in it by 12, and you'll be going
This is
in it
existing.
for,
Correct.
yeah, okay. Makes sense.
Well, it does.
What?
On the application, it says left side setback, 15 required, 8 proposed. Right side setback, 15 required, 10 proposed, is that right?
That's because it's existing non-conforming. That is where the house is set now. On the,
That's the house?
yes.
Yeah, 10 foot. This is the back of the house,
So the house is 10 foot on one side
right there.
and
12 foot on one
12
side.
foot.
12 foot on the other side.
Yeah, correct.
So by putting on the deck on the left-hand side,
You're cutting
it
it.
would be
4
8
feet from the
feet.
house.
8
To
feet
my neighbor's fence.
to the
yes.
fence.
Come in.
Yeah, because the driveway loops around here, these houses share a common parking area in the back.
Mhm.
That's where it goes up the hill and swoops
Yeah.
around, right? Yeah.
And I guess, Chuck, this question is for you. So which orientation, for sure, so it'd be like this, I mean, to match up the Google Maps with the hand rendering. Is this the proper orientation?
No. It's all one step.
Confusing because the driveway is in the back.
Not
Okay, right, so
I have a
obviously,
picture.
obviously,
She's looking at these two.
Can I come up?
Yeah, she's looking at these two. What would be the proper orientation of this picture?
So-
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
So is the
this
driveway-
is where
this
the driveway area is, right there.
This goes on the back of this
So
house,
that's
that's not my
fence.
house.
Then
This house
right here is-
Yes.
They share a common driveway.
This is
All
the
three of
house,
them.
this
Sure,
is my
this road.
neighbor's fence, they
There's
were
a parking area back here.
some other neighbor.
Yeah,
So that-
yeah.
This is where it
Put
comes
both
out,
together.
and then it steps down.
So do I have
There's a
this
hill
road?
to come up
Yeah,
to the
Yes,
driveway.
so this goes like this.
And then I was like,
That's the pool there.
and then a little back
This is the
here,
right side.
and then a little
Fence
walkway,
here.
possibly 4
This is
foot,
10
going
feet.
to the back of
This
the
is
house.
12 feet.
So then I could put a
He
couch
must
there.
have jutted out 4 feet. Looks like there's trees and stuff there.
And this
too.
is, the Curtis
I
Long
think it's, a south.
with
I
the,
think it's a
the
south.
extension.
Yeah.
And there's fence on this side, I believe,
So where's this located?
That's the, obviously, that's the existing.
This
This
is
is
the
the South Lake
existing
Avenue where the
house,
shark
correct.
room is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then this is
Yeah,
the
we go
4
down
foot,
that-
and then that would
say
be
the
8
left
foot to
side.
my neighbor's
Okay.
fence.
If you keep on going further, there's one house by itself with stone gates. But then just before that, there's a curve.
Okay. All right.
South Lake View, right here.
Okay.
when was this house built?
1929,
Wow.
it's a small little cottage.
Okay.
It's under 900 square.
Oh, what?
But it's nice, I'm very
Oh,
happy.
that's enough room.
Yes, yes.
That's a
Very
right man, that's a nice house. I have 5 people who qualify from it. That is in demand. People downsizing and everything. But getting back to the Google map, it looks like there are trees in the area of the proposed deck. Will they be removed or am I not?
No trees.
No trees, okay. I maybe just.
There are some old growth trees that show quite a canopy.
Okay, understood.
Well, we'll see it when we go through
Yeah.
the site visit anyway.
And do you give permission to the zoning board members to come out and visit your site?
Anytime you would like,
Okay.
yes.
Is there any German shepherds or anything?
No, indoor cat and.
No, just an indoor cat, that's it for me, no dogs for me.
So your application looks complete for the purposes of holding a public hearing, which is what you saw at the beginning of this meeting, which we'll do for you in June 19th. And the fellow who was here before you will be before you at 6, so you'll be on at 6:15. Does that sound okay?
That's good.
Do you have any questions for us at this time?
Not at this time.
Well, if any come up, please direct them to Chuck, and he'll get back to you, you can get through to us, however that works.
Okay, and then I go back to 19, correct?
Yes, please, yeah, at 6:15, and we'll do a public hearing, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
coming out tonight, good night.
This house on the left, yeah, well,
Are there any other issues for new business?
years ago.
I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting with zoning board of appeals, so November 2nd.
One second.
It's John Schmidt, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next meeting is adjourned, good night.
I do have a question, and I guess it's